The Mario franchise is 40 years old, and that means we have gotten an insane amount of games over the years, especially if we count spin-offs like Mario Kart and the RPGs. But in this video we will be focusing on the mainline entries in the franchise, both 2D and 3D. These are my personal favorites and they all mean something to me. So let's get started with number 10, which is Super Mario Sunshine. This game is quite infamous. Some people love it, others hate it. I like it, but back when I was a kid I loved it to bits. Back then I had way more patience with video games and their difficult stages, and I had way more free time and more attention span. But when I replayed the game on the 3D All-Stars collection, I struggled a bit with it, and I got mad at some frustrating stages like the watermelon mission for example. But I still remember the fun I had opening up the GameCube during the Christmas of 2001 or 2002, and the fun of exploring the game's sandbox stages and using FLUDD for the first time. And there are plenty of great stars and missions, like the platforming stages that you had to do without FLUDD, and then when you revisit those levels with FLUDD to get the red coins. And hearing so much voice work in a Mario game was quite shocking at the time, and really cool. To be clear, I still like this game, and I love its visuals and its music and its overall vibe. I just don't enjoy its gameplay as much as I used to, but I still love it. And number 9 is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I know, this sub-series of Mario games ran its course, and by the end of it we were kinda sick of the New Super Mario Bros. Games and their formula and their art style. But those first two games were legit awesome. The first one was a big deal when it came out for the DS because it was the first 2D Mario game since the Mario Land titles on the Game Boy. And this one on Wii took the series into a new direction thanks to its cooperative gameplay. I played this entire game with my friend G, and that is why I have developed so much nostalgia and fondness for this entry in the series. But a shout out to the original game on DS because it revived the 2D Mario franchise, and a shout out to the Wii U game for its unique and beautiful painted swampland stage. And number 9 is Super Mario Odyssey. It's a lot of people's favorite Mario game. It's not my personal favorite, but I still love the game a lot. But I worry about the series becoming more and more open world. I think it might lose some of its charm and its fun if they overdo it. I don't think this game has the same minute-to-minute fun that something like Galaxy has, but it's still an awesome Mario title, and an ambitious one. The worlds are very complex, with many moons to collect and platforming challenges and much to see and explore. There are many fun mechanics thanks to Mario being able to possess other characters thanks to Cappy. And I enjoy playing as the tank in New Donk City and destroying everything around me as a T-Rex and so much more. And it looks gorgeous and it has an amazing score and beautiful graphics. It may not be my favorite Mario game, but I still like it a lot, and I can see why so many people do consider it their favorite. And now on to number 8, Super Mario Land 1 for the Game Boy. This game is very underrated and underappreciated, and it's very important. It was the first Mario game on the original Game Boy, and without this game and Tetris, the Game Boy may not have been the success that it became. It has a very memorable soundtrack, and fun and unique stages since the game didn't take place in the Mushroom Kingdom. So Rasaland was a new kingdom, and each stage was inspired by real-life locations, and mythical locations too. And it introduced Princess Daisy into the Mario canon, and gave us a villain that wasn't Bowser. We had to fight the evil alien Tatanga. And did I mention that you get to control a submarine and a plane? I really love this game. I have loved this since I was like 9 years old, when I got the Game Boy Pocket for my birthday, along with this game. And I bet you would love it too, if you played it, if you gave it a shot. And now on to number 7, Mario Land 2, The 6 Golden Coins. This is the sequel to Mario Land, and it was bigger and more complex than the first one, and more fun to play, because Mario has better momentum here and he feels more like his console version. This time Mario has to save his own kingdom, Mario Land, from the invader who has taken over Mario's castle. And this villain was none other than Wario, and this was his introduction to the Mario universe. This game had amazing visuals for the Game Boy, with very beautiful sprites, a fun soundtrack, and new power-ups like the bunny ears, and very cool looking bosses and fun new enemies like the giant ants, and even a hockey mask with a knife stuck to its head. You heard me right, a Jason Voorhees wannabe is walking around a Mario game. This game is very weird, but in all the right ways. And before I forget, you can go into space and fight Tatanga in one of the levels. And yes, Tatanga, the villain from the first Mario Land, he comes back. And now on to number 6, the original Super Mario Bros. For the NES. This is the first Mario Bros. Game, but not the first Mario game in general, because that was the Mario Bros. Arcade game. Maybe even Donkey Kong, since you play as Mario or Jumpman in that game, but this one is the one that made Mario a household name. This is the most iconic game in his series. I used to play this on the actual NES, I still have the cartridge somewhere. It's the one that has Mario 1, Duck Hunt, and the Track and Field game together. And I used to play it a lot. I also used to play Mario 2 a lot, and I consider putting it here on the list, because it's such a unique game in the series with a vibe all its own, and very beautiful visuals, but the original game is the most iconic game in the series, and I recently replayed it with my niece, and that playthrough reminded me of just how good that first entry in the series is, and that it holds up really well. This game was amazing when it came out in 1985, and is still amazing now 40 years later. But I repeat, a shout out to Mario 2. And now to number 5, Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. This is a game that has slowly been climbing up my list over the years. I used to play this game a lot on the SNES, but I could never get past the Forest of Illusion back in the day. But from SNES to Wii Virtual Console and then Wii U, SNES Classic, and now NSO, I kept playing the game over time, and each time I played it, I got closer to the end. I beat it around 3 years ago, and since then I have connected way more with this game. It has beautiful visuals, the 16-bit sprites are amazing, and those graphics still hold up, and they always will. The gameplay is deep, with perfect platforming, and Mario controls beautifully. Yoshi is an iconic character, the stages are well designed, and there are many fun secrets and surprises to find. It's one of the best side-scrolling platformers ever made, and it needs to be played by all gamers. And if you want to make video games yourself, then this is a game you need to study closely. And now for number 4, Super Mario 3D World. This game is a lot of fun. From start to finish you are having fun. I played it on Wii U when it came out, both solo and with friends, and I fell in love with that game. I think we all did. It's a sequel to Mario 3D Land on the 3DS, which was my favorite game on that handheld, and this sequel takes this sub-series to new heights by the end you play the entire game with friends. And I recently replayed it on the Switch with my niece, and we both had a lot of fun playing it, and it seems to be her current favorite Mario game. This game is 3D, but it plays like a 2D game since the stages aren't sandboxes to explore. Instead, they are more linear stages and you have a timer. So the game is all about getting to the end as quickly as you can and surviving, like the old games, like the 2D games. This game and its predecessor are probably what people thought Mario would be like on 3D back in the 90s before Mario 64 came out, but Nintendo went with a more open adventure approach instead when jumping to 3D with Mario 64. I'm glad they finally got around to making a 3D game that feels like a direct continuation of the 2D games, but in the 3D realm, and I hope they keep making more games like this. And also the jazzy soundtrack is glorious. And now on to number 3, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Yes, I know I'm cheating, but it's really hard to choose between these two games. If I do have to choose, then I'll go with Galaxy 1, because it's the first one, and it has the freshness and the wow factor. But both games are excellent, and you can make the case that the second one is the better game, and you will probably be right. But both are amazing, both have their own things going on for them. The first one quite often has stages that are bigger than the one in the sequel, but the sequel has Yoshi and some exclusive power-ups like turning into a drill and the cloud power-up. Both are amazing how they use gravity and how that impacts the controls and the gameplay. They both have a lot of variety with the level design, so from one star to the next, or one level to the next, you could be having a totally different experience, and therefore these games will never bore you since they're always throwing something new and fresh your way. These are two of the best 3D platformers ever made, and you need to play them if you haven't yet. And I hope one day they make a third one, maybe next year, since the next Mario movie is inspired by Galaxy. We need more Mario Galaxy, not less. And now on to number 2, Super Mario Bros. 3. This is still one of the best and most enjoyable 2D platformers ever made. And that is saying something concerning just how many great platformers there have been made over the years. And we still keep getting amazing games in this genre by both big publishers and by indie studios. But Mario 3 is still king in my book, and so is Mario World. Both are great games, but I'm more of a Mario 3 guy than a Mario World guy. Part of it is because of how much fun all the power-ups are, like the raccoon suit. Part of it is the fast-paced gameplay and the bite-sized stages that don't waste your time. But a large part of the reason why I like it so much is the nostalgia, obviously, because I played this game a lot in the 2000s on the GBA. Mario Advance 4 is what they called it on Game Boy Advance. I played this game over and over and over, and I remember playing it a lot the summer of 2004, even during a family trip we took to Miami. It's an iconic game with memorable music and stages, and if you grew up with any version of this game, be it the NES version, the Super Nintendo All-Stars version, or GBA, then I have no doubt that you love this game a lot. And now on to our number 1 Mario game, and that game is Super Mario 64. This is my favorite Mario game of all time and my favorite video game of all time. The N64 was a very important part of my childhood. Before the N64, I had a few hand-me-down consoles from my brother, like the Sega Genesis, the Game Boy, even the Game Gear for a little while. But the N64 was the first new console that I directly got as a kid, as a gift. I got it at Christmas of 1996 with Shadows of the Empire, and a few months later, I got Mario 64, and it blew my tiny little mind. Exploring the castle grounds and the inside of the castle and that first painting was mind-boggling. It was my first 3D platformer, and only my second game in 3D, and the game was amazing back then, and it's still amazing now. And yeah, sure, the camera system has aged, there's no denying it, and some stars can be annoying, but for the most part this game is still fun and it holds up quite well. I think the worlds are just the right size. They are usually neither too small nor too big, and therefore they don't feel shallow, nor do they overstay their welcome. And there are so many great moments that I love, like discovering all the secret levels, like the snow world that you only see in the mirror, and the hidden water level, and discovering that how and when you enter certain paintings affects the gameplay and the level design. And when I see snow or penguins, I think of this game. When I see lava, I think of this game. The same goes for plesiosaurs, pyramids, cannons, snowmen, owls, monkeys, and so much more. I relate this game to a million things, and it reminds me of so many things and so many people. I'm reminded right now of the N64 Retro Day I had with my friends in the early 2010s, and many other moments over the years that I have played it with many people, including very recently with my niece. It's an iconic game and one of the best and most important video games of all time, and it's my favorite game of all time. Thank you for watching the video, it means a lot, it always does. This is Super Mario's 40th anniversary month, and we have made many videos to celebrate the Italian plumber. Feel free to check out our Mario Land review, our video about our visit to Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios in California, and we have more videos on the way. You can find these videos in various playlists, including the Videogames playlist. If you love Mario and Nintendo and you're a nostalgic person, then this is your channel. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.